And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here, and today we're taking a look at Wave 8 of the Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing game. Now this one comes with a very large brass dragon. You can see the model here. It looks a little similar to some of the other dragons. I guess there's only so many poses you can put dragons in, but he has some nice red coloring and things on him. The next model we have here is the Mind Flayer, and if you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons, this is by far one of the scariest things to come across, because they take over your brain and suck your brains. They do all kinds of nasty stuff with their mind. And then this guy here, who is just an air cultist. He works for the cult of the air, I suppose. But this kind of goes with the theme that WizKids and Wizards of the Coast, with the different cults that follow the different wind, air, etc. Alright, let's take a look at their cards. Alright, we'll take a look at the air cult card first. You can see he has some pretty good maneuverability on the ground. But more importantly, we'll see his stats here. Now you'll notice that the stats are very different for Mortimer Flax than they are for the normal air cult warrior. Part of that, I think, is the level. They both have a very good crossbow range attack at 4. And he has one more defensive die. And when he attacks a target that doesn't have him in his forward arc, the target rolls -2. He also has a lot more room for upgrades, but still, double the cost. Now, the biggest thing here is the fact that this guy can have a giant vulture mount, as shown in the picture there. So they can ride the giant vultures, and the giant vulture can fly. That's basically the special ability. You can take any of your people now and basically make them fly if you want. I suppose you could have a dwarf fly on the giant vulture if you wanted to. The giant vulture, you can basically dive bomb somebody, 6 dice attack, but then you'll lose the vulture, which is really interesting. I don't know how much you would do that, but if you also have the giant vulture, you can use disembowel, which lets you do lethal. If you do lethal damage, you can get rid of the creature right away. So there's a dragon that has this ability too, basically to get rid of someone instantly. It's kind of nasty and deadly, just like this dagger venom, which can poison someone that you attack. Or you can assassinate someone to change different symbols to critical hits, but you have to be a rogue. Or here, evasion, which can be a rogue or monk can use this. And stealth, after performing an action here, that you can disable this to avoid getting an exhaustion token. So it lets you dodge things more easily. So it's pretty cool. It gives you a guy who can fly around or not, but I don't know that you would often take the air cultist. Honestly, I can't see taking him without the giant vulture. Alright, let's take a look at the dragon now. Now the dragon, this is a big dragon. This is the adult brass dragon. And he has a decent attack with some good armor, 2 armor, and 4 health. And he can fly pretty fast. That's because he's the adult brass dragon. And he comes with the typical flame attack. I believe this is the 3rd dragon now that has flame. But cooler than that is sleep breath. Now he can attack people and put them to sleep. And there's a whole card that talks about when you put someone to sleep. Now they don't crash if they're flying, they kind of land gently when they go to sleep. But a very good attack to kind of just, it's not the same as paralyzing them, but it's awfully close. You can take this draconic nature, which I think is in there, to keep from being put to sleep or paralyzed. The problem with this is you don't always know what your opponent's going to take. The game also comes with a Gem of Seeing and Shrewd. I like Shrewd because basically you can look at someone else's and then change your maneuver dial. And then, even cooler, I think, than Sleep is Charm, where you basically, I mean, it takes a lot of work. You have to get a concentration token, make a 2-die attack against someone. You have to hit them, but then they're charmed, and you can control what they do while they're charmed, which is a very powerful thing to do. And then that, speaking of charming people and going after their thoughts, we have the Mind Flayer. And if you'll notice here, there's a very big difference between the regular Taskmaster Mind Flayer and Xeno. Now, Xeno is a nasty creature. Now, you'll notice they only have a 1 range attack, melee attack. So they have to get close to you to touch you. It is a pretty powerful attack. They have decent defense and armor and things. But anyone who's damaged by his tentacles can't attack him, period, even by accident. And even more importantly, Xeno is at level 18, which is simply amazing. He can move. He can do some pretty quick turns for someone on the ground. He has a +2 defense dice against breath weapons, always very handy, so dragons have a hard time. And he can do a Mind Blast. Now, when I first saw the Mind Blast, I thought, this is just another attack. It's like the Flame Blast and all that sort of thing. It just does damage. But you can mix it up here with the Dominator, which lets you target somebody and force them to do a certain maneuver, or you can remove this and use your Mind Blast more often, or you can combine the Mind Blast with a Psychic Crush. So someone who was just damaged by your Mind Blast, basically they can't attack, so you can shut them down. He can also use his mind for good, or maybe not good, he's an evil creature, but helping out his own troops. So the Psionic Commander, where he gives +1 defense to troops or +2 defense. Extract the Brain, where you can do a 3-dice attack against someone that you've hit with your tentacles. Or here, you can't attack, but everyone who's close to you also can't attack. And then the Glove of Invulnerability, where you're immune to spell attacks. These guys are hard to take down by other spell creatures. The best way is basically to run a dwarf at them or have some archers shoot them down. But they're very dangerous creatures, and if I'm playing the evil side, I'm certainly going to consider taking one. Well, that's it for this wave. I think, the Air Cultist, the Vulture, that's pretty cool. And the Dragon is cool, though, we're starting to see a lot of these dragons in the game. But this is a very powerful one. But the Mind Flayer, he's really cool. And he's the one that I would get out of this wave before I got the other ones. Just neat to have, and he's also one of the iconic D&D creatures. That is Wave 8. Tune back next time. We'll talk about Wave 9.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Türe zu!
Du.